share again the budget left because I wasn't able.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's not at all what I'm suggesting, that it should matter about your attendance at the meeting. I feel like if you can't be there, you can communicate to somebody else to talk about it. You can send them emails. I'm not going to require them to be at student council because they already have 2 meetings a week. It sucks. So I'm not going to like require. No. I'm not. That's not what I'm not saying that they're busier than you are. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I'm just saying I'm not going to require them to do anything else. I'm not going to require. I'm not going to say you have to go to this meeting. I won't. I won't do that. That's not. I just won't. But I know. Do you have a final question?
I guess I'm confused because it sounds like the burden is on the committee chair to satisfy the wishes of SSFC that the decision that is made in this body is appropriate. When if SSFC members have questions about it, I think it should be, the onus should be on them to engage us.
And they absolutely will. SFC members frequently ask questions about budgets that we see. They email people, they meet with people. They will, they will be encouraged to reach out as much as I'm encouraging you to come and reach out to them. It's a meet in the middle kind of a thing. I'm not saying, I'm not going to tell you you have to be at SFC, just like I'm not going to tell them they have to be at student council. SFC is also a co-equal branch to student council, so we don't have to just say student council says this, so we have to agree. Our purpose is to scrutinize budgets and make sure spending is responsible. That's not to say that it is on you entirely to prove that it's not just on you. They are going to hear all about what happened with student council. We have student council members in SFC. Andrew's going to present. You guys are welcome to email. They will email you. I forgot about Ron earlier too. Sorry, Ron.
He wasn't in the room.
So that's not what I'm trying to say at all, in any way. They're part of their job, part of what they get paid for is to reach out to people whose budgets are being presented. So that's not.
So I guess to clarify that, so if I haven't been reached out to, should I assume that funding will be left untouched for my committee? That's a safe assumption to make.
No, it's not. Representative Wolf.
Was there any reason why the entire internal budget wasn't included in the agenda? Should I consider that?
Yes, actually, I was going to speak about it earlier. I forgot to do the announcements. But the physical agenda, we're going to print it out because it's been a problem printing already, printing too much. So everyone watch how much you print and to make it as related as possible. Don't do it. But I emailed it out twice, and I assume that would be sufficient. Yes.
Do you think that's in accordance with making it public?
I
should try to find a way to make it public.
What was that?
You should probably try to find a way to make it public.
Okay, well, it's absolutely. Been sent to campus relations already as well, so it's public.
So what?
It's been sent to the campus relations listener, so all the papers have it. I don't know how much more public we possibly.
You have to post everything publicly.
Yes, I'm aware, and it is posted.
So it's not posted
It
publicly.
can
Yes,
be,
it's sent to campus relations.
according to open meetings laws, it can be done electronically, in paper, or in any means
Point of
possible.
information, where is the internal budget accessible to students on this campus, publicly posted on the internet or in front of the ASM office?
Well, you are the representative, so if they ask you, you should give it to them. All right. Representative Seta,
Where can I find it as a student?
I will send it to you.
One personal privilege, we post the budget on the website. We don't have
Can we just put it on my
$5,000
website?
website, is that unreasonable?
I believe we can get that done. All right, Representative Seta.
Cool. My question. Varsity baseball. Okay. I think that in the words of the chair, about in these economic times, we need to watch where we spend our money. So why? Like, I don't get it. Okay. So I'm trying to understand this whole concept of varsity games, and I'm all about like the W Badgers and like all that life and stuff. But I don't really see where this money is going towards other than the speakers. And if it's just going towards the speaker, who is that going to be, and when will we find out of some sort so we can know and not have all this extra people in there for like this so like world renowned speaker that we're trying to find that will benefit all the students on campus, because I'm just having a hard time like putting this into like numbers. So like I would like to have like fun this event day, like don't get me wrong, I would, but it's hard for me to like picture it when there's not really like, it just has formally known as commencement speaker. So like I'm thinking like, are we moving the commencement speaker to have its own day so people can like attend or something? Sorry,
I figured you asked me, yeah, absolutely. So I prefaced the lesson a little bit, I'm not sure if it worked, but this used to be called Commencement Speaker Fun. The idea was to bring in one, obviously, working on speakers with commencement, but we have several commencements every year, so it wouldn't be fair. Over a few days span, there's no way it'd cost us $500,000 to have some speakers stay for a few days to talk to everyone. And it wouldn't be fair to peg, this random LNS commencement gets the speaker, everyone else gets, It wouldn't be fair. So the point is to have made it one day, which is why it turned into, this month with a few different names. So last year, it's called Senior Day, even though it's a commencement speaker line. Last year was a Thursday afternoon. Well, yeah, the thing is, to keep in mind is, this is for FY 13 and 14. This would not happen for almost 20 months, because that's unfortunately the way we budget in this organization. It's just how it works. So I knew you have to constrain yourself way ahead of time. So, so your question was, what? I'm sorry. What was we were trying to ask?
I was trying to ask, like, okay, because this isn't over 20 months, like, how do we even know the new students? Well, like, in 20 months, I'm going to be a potential senior, I hope, right? Maybe graduate stuff.
So how do you pick speakers or thing?
So, like, yeah, like, how do you know, like, that they want that? You know, like, have you done outreach surveys type of situation to, like, feel out, like, what people want?
Every student I've ever talked to has never been against bringing in a world-renowned speaker. I think it'd be hard pressed to find someone on campus who would say, I don't want Bill Gates to come to campus. You're in a very small group of people, I guess.
Please stop the back and forth.
So anyway, I forgot to speak to it, but what we're going to do next week when we actually make this attach an amendment to it, that will create a committee to decide who to bring in, and that will be comprised of, and this is still obviously something to change, that's why I mentioned that chair for ideas. I didn't receive any. I mentioned it again, please email me ideas. And it would be 20th session, ASM chair, ASM vice chair, and either the SSE chair, the finance committee chair, the senior class president, vice president. It would be the union president, the DLS programming chair, probably the union's VP of programming, maybe a WAA, sorry, the Staff One Association representative, and possibly Dean City's office representative. These are all organizations I can't say a promise to lobby for this, and said like all wanted and willing to contribute money towards it. So these people would all meet to discuss and bring in the speaker. And as to the amount, that you said how much we know how much it is going to be. And unfortunately, it's the way scheduling works. You have to plan this way ahead of time for this to happen. There's no way that we could just say, we couldn't just call. Last week we tried to make it work, like it didn't quite work out. But there's no way you can just call and be like, hey, come in next week. These are done half years in advance at least. So, and $60,000 is the idea is to contribute this to a pot of money. It's not enough, exactly. So the idea is to work with, like I said, the union, Distinguished Lecture Series, the Alumni Association, to bring that pot up. My goal, my vision is to hopefully to close to $100,000 to bring in someone of much higher caliber to campus.
Do of information.
On point. I'm wondering where I am on the speakers list, and I wanted to speak directly to this, and I like this flow of conversation, and I know that I raised my hand.
Perfect opportunity. So I'll explain how speakers lists work. So when you raise your placard, the first time you speak, that's
My question was where on the list am I?
your next. But I'm going to explain this for the body. So you're not a member of this body, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you're out of rules.
Does anybody mind yielding to Selma to speak? See no objections? Yes, Selma.
So if you're not a rules, can't other people here that are not members of the council speak?
From my understanding, we still have to abide by people on this body have speaking rights. Doesn't matter if we're rules or not. But you got to speak to me because no one objected. Okay, so basically what happens with a speaking order is if you speak, you are put into your precedence list, and you get precedence over someone who has spoken. So say Representative Dabno wants to ask a question. She gets to ask a question before any one of you because she has not spoken yet. Same thing goes for if you've had 2 speaking turns, 3 speaking turns. That's how a speaker's list works, and that's how I'm operating it. All right, so do the final question.
I got lost over there. But no, I don't think so. Thanks.
All right. Actually, I'm sorry, you're not next. Representative Zode.
So my question is like, you mentioned that I guess just like this to some degree, but are you open to opening up that kind of stuff to other people? Because from what it seems like the kind of some of the issues are becoming like, exactly who will comprise the not for individual, so, I think it's not much government mission to proper safeguards in place to ensure that we have a speaker that's not really a whole lot of someone that everyone can get in. So
Absolutely. So I was going to mention, I completely forgot. I didn't really bounce ideas on myself so far, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about ways to not only open it up, but also solicit more feedback. So one way to change it, I was thinking about something in there saying this is not something passed. It's like an MOU, like a weird individual MOU that has been passed, saying it's a stipulation attached that this committee can be changed with a 2/3 vote of the committee. So there could be additional people who would have the final vote, if you will, on who would be. But the idea is like the idea to reach out to absolutely everyone and anyone who is willing to talk. And then that's why we're lucky with the ASM resources, we have the new resources to send these 30-day campus wide emails, like of these 5, who are your topics? Of these 10, we're going to 9, who do you want? And this would be an entire campus-wide initiative to bring in the speaker. And in the end, you obviously can't have, so like the referendum spoke to earlier, I don't think it's the best idea just because referendum, because we're going to a particularly high turnout, and it's not centralized enough or efficient enough to really bring it in. In fact, I don't think it's even timely enough to bring it in. And you even argue like who the referendum is, are you going to have a referendum, who do you want to bring in for blank and vote? You would find of 40,000 students, you 5,000 answer, you probably find about 1,000 of your names. And that's just much too large to work with. And a lot of people, if you regard the comments, I don't imagine she would hold out in favor. You know, the guys Tyson. The idea would be also not to bring in, this could be attached to this situation. You can't bring in current or city politicians. You do that, absolutely. And I would also be, the people on the committee are from a huge, they cover all campuses, the vast majority of campuses you have ASM, which is comprised of people who are represented. One of the people on the committee could even be, it could say, 20th session will appoint the speaker committee representative. They could do that. These are things we can all do. I want everyone to work together on this, which is why I'm coming to everyone for this feedback. I want to make this everyone. I want to see this passed unanimously. I want everyone to see things. I want to make it ours.
Do you follow up? All right. Representative Lorraine.
I move to go back into this.
Second. Objection, can I just?
Okay.
On that list.
Yes, you are somewhere on this list, but anyone who has not asked a question gets precedence over anyone who has spoken. So that is how I'm operating, and
Next question. Though.
there is a motion to go back into rules in a second. All those in favor of going back to rules, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
And here's the chair that carries. We are now back to
Objection,
rules.
motion to overrule the chair.
Division. All right. All those in favor of going back into rules, please read the placards. All those opposed? Alright, vote to 8-7, that passes. We're back in the rules. Awesome. Alright, so, motion, alright. Representative Maggio,
I'd like to use some.
are there any objections to yielding to Selma Alley for question? Yes, alright. Any objections? Seeing none? Selma.
Okay, that's, I don't understand the rest of it. So you said how, computer is appointed by committee, they were wrong this, the wrong this. That's okay about, who's going on the committee. But, what I'm worried about is, I don't know if this is related to this. Do you believe that on graduation or with the council figure, that you're trying to appeal to many different diverse groups, including like people of color, women of colors, of food, like different religious groups? So that it's that, right? So would you be open to writing a resolution or something that requires a diversity requirement for the community?
For the community itself.
For the community itself. In order to have all voices of this institution, because whoever is going to do this.
Why didn't you follow Richard's example? He doesn't know.
On board community. So as I said, people of color, women of color, women, different religious groups, I mean, like, the USSA, I'm in the National People of Color Youth Coalition chair, so our diversity requirements for our board is like, some percentage has to be people of color, some percentage has to be queer, some percentage has to be women themselves. So, like, focusing on a couple or a few different, underrepresented students and having that as a requirement to sit on the.
Sure. So I'm not getting into quotas at all, but yes, I would go. That's the idea is to have as many people represented as possible. And that's why I was saying the European election. I am definitely not comfortable with having something say, well, 1/5 this community has to be a person that identifies as a person of color, 1 has to be Caucasian, 1/5 has to be Caucasian, 1/5 has to be LGBTQ. I'm not comfortable with that because then you bring in the definitions of diversity. Are we going to have a Muslim student? Are we going to have are we going to have people who've been membership Republicans, Democrats? Are we going to have a social representative, a libertarian? Are we going to have a certain committee? It's almost impossible to do that. So I think it's much more fair to have I would be in favor of a resolution saying, hey, the 20th session is obviously up for review, saying we want the speaker to do this, and that's why they're supposed to be what the votes. Sorry, that's what the votes would go to. So that could be a decision of the body. I would not be comfortable with constraining them too much. It's going to be their decision since they are the ones that democratically elected. If they democratically choose to have an interest in finding a speaker who is restrictively more diverse, that's absolutely their prerogative. As for the committee itself, these positions are currently unfilled, and even right now, I don't like to talk about race and color, but if you look at Sarah Matthews' president, she represents a very diverse. I don't even think she's a member.
And the thing is, like,
do you have a follow-up?
We're gonna talk about this
Sure,
later.
yeah, about 2 minutes.
Do you follow-up?
No, not either.
All right, great. Representative Wickbander.
So I was gonna kind of say the same thing, but pulling from different communities and making sure, like, but you said some things before that I just want to clarify. So we don't have any say in what this committee looks like, and it's only the 20-year session's purview, is that correct?
Yeah, yes, it's their budget. We can't touch it all. The same way that the 18th session, we can't touch the way we spend our budget. Just lose track.
Do you follow-up?
So we have essentially no way of monitoring or, I guess, regulating, which is a fucking word. I don't know a lot of names. Making sure that all the communities are on the same campus are outreach to, and having input in this process, we have no way of actually making sure that happens.
I would argue that's true with everything, that it's impossible to guarantee it. But once again, this is why I'm really happy to have a lot of institutional carryover this year in ASM. And I implore all representatives to still have terms remaining to run next year to communicate these concerns. It is impossible to dictate. We could say all will be reached out to, but we have no enforcement mechanism. And if next year wants to do something, they can do it. They could rescind it. So there's no real way to do it. But I mean, the point is that's why I had this rather large committee of between 9 and 10, 11 people, because they would hold themselves accountable. And they do represent so much on campus already. They all have their own constituencies and communities. The idea is for them to do this outreach. As with being timid, and as with anything, we can't consider to do that.
For information,
Yes, Chair McNally?
where are we right now? on the agenda, are we in rules?
We are-
Obviously, I think we're in rules, where are we?
We are currently in rules. We are in question answer in the internal budget, and Representative Whitbander is on her final question.
Okay, thanks.
And that's about the line item for the.
No, I just wasn't sure if we were still in the budget, or if we were really sure, or I just was curious where we were.
All right, do a final question.
Sorry.
Yeah. I guess. How do you feel about this? Because this is what I, like, in my mind, what I thought about when I went up is a committee coming up with a decision of about 2 or 3 people that they thought could come to campus, and then sending out that narrowed down list to campus, waiting if we can get it going. That way, I get this email, but I think that we see like a significant problem with outreach, right? And like that's something that we.
Is this a question, Representative Whitbander?
Yeah. That we keep seeing like in the budget when we're talking about things like fire and money and we didn't have it. But like being able to like I don't wanna make it with this thing like this, but like figure out some way to help to actually do outreach. That's not something that's like that has actually had that. Since it wouldn't be like cannabis, we have to have a whole station.
Yeah, I do. I think, I love the idea that we should, but I would actually try to put on its head and just do it in reverse. Because when it comes down to it, as Neil, the distinguished legislator guy was saying, there's a significant amount of like just selecting these people. So if it came down to 2 or 3 people, it might turn out that one of these 3 isn't quite as easy or feasible to actually get on campus for a number of reasons, whether it's scheduling, whether it means they have to come on a Thursday instead of a Saturday, or a Sunday instead of a Friday. So I would actually, I think that the way to narrow it down to say 10 to 15 people, it'd be a lot. That's an end campus, but then campus narrows it down to 3 to 5 people, whatever they want to be. And then from there, that committee will be able to get those final votes. And part of the reason is that it's much more simple when they're closer to the issue with the actual logistical details. And also because these people do represent the bodies that are paying for themselves. And I know that in conversations with WAA and it's difficult for them to say, hey, thanks for the money, now you don't get the final say. It is really hard to guarantee that institutionalized financial support that we need in this event.
All right, I'd like to caution everybody, it is 10:30. There are 2 speakers left on the list, and Chief Justice Kloppenberg, you're up.
I would move to close question and answer.
Second.
May I speak to my motion?
Sure.
Thank you. So I think at this point we're getting into debate. Everyone's exhausted all the substantive questions. If people have additional questions, I would suggest they meet individually with Triple-Upski or Chip.
Great, and is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of closing question and answer, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we are now out of question and answer, and
Please
that,
email me.
yes,
Please,
so
anything at all.
please
I'd love to meet
email,
everyone.
text, call Tripolowski, I'm sure we'd love to meet with you. All right, so now we are on reports of standing committees and boards. Chair's going to stop the room. Chair Kidd. Oh, sorry. Very good. Report, you want to?
I can go, if you don't mind, yeah, sorry. I'll be very brief. So one day, at our meeting, we discussed diversity week, and so our intern Victoria is, already made a lot of headway on it, and so we decided the week was, gonna be April 15th, and the days are most likely gonna be, religious diversity, gender and sexuality, a women's day, disabilities, and multicultural, if I can say that right. And, but we're still in the works of deciding what the days are gonna be, and also what's gonna be happening on those different days, but that, Victoria's been reaching out to student boards to, have them collaborate with us on the project. Also, myself and several other people had a meeting with David Williams yesterday about the campus diversity plan, and it was very interesting, and he discussed that
he is looking to implement a working group shared governance committee by the end of the semester. And that the plan would be implemented, would be finalized in the spring of next semester and then implemented next fall, which is very surprising because we didn't think that that turnaround would be so fast, especially since he's made it seem like the plan would have been implemented in the next 3 to 5 years. So kind of a little underhanded thing. So we're really trying to work on ensuring that students are have equal representation with faculty and staff on all the working team committees of the campus diversity plan, and also looking at how the steering committee is going to be structured, et cetera. And yeah, that's about it. We're still working on campaigns, and if you have any questions about diversity week, please let me know because we would love your input on it.
You open yourself up for questions? Are there any questions for Chair Eckers? Seeing none, Chair Kidd.
We allocated money, we will continue to allocate money.
You open yourself up for questions? Budget Fair, Chair Statter. Chair Statter.
For information, where's
Point.
Waldo?
He is sitting where Chair Kidd is sitting. Chair Statter.
Just want to highlight 3 things. So one, if you have not yet taken, for those of you that are under 21, if you have not yet taken the 18 plus entertainment survey, everyone got it, please take it. Number 2, please come to Ledge Fairs Monday, 7 p.m. Mark Wolf, yes. Mark Wolf is the city's alcohol policy coordinator. So tying in closely to that 18 plus entertainment survey, there's entertainment options for those under 21 on campus. If there's going to be a policy change in the city, Mark Wolf would be the one it would go through and then to the mayor. So please come and ask questions. And Michael will also be not only training treats, which he always does wonderful, but doing his state budget training. So please do Monday. At the state level, I highlighted responsible action last week. I'd be happy to answer any questions. There's opportunities to lobby on that issue. I'd be happy. There's already dates set up, so all you have to do is see if you're available and you can help us lobby at the state level for that bill. And then similar efforts to lobby at the city level for alcohol policy. Last point, UW Housing Fair, November 12th in Union South. ASM will have a table there. There will also be about 20 landlords. Soon a survey will be going out to the student body asking them about their experiences with different landlords, only the landlords present at that housing fair. So the idea is to provide students information about the landlords at that fair in order to help them make decisions for the semester or for next semester. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Question for Chair Statter. Representative Magayo.
When or where are most of those lobbying opportunities at the state level?
So I'd have to Tuesday, 6th at 12:30. I know there is one for sure. And in the next couple weeks, it'll be both with the county and the state. So it's a state representative at the State House. First, I know we're going to be meeting with Dane County Supervisor Pam. So that's another opportunity. But if there's specific, dates and times that work best for you, or in the future, a month is great.
Do you follow up?
Yeah, I think providing students info about them is a really great idea. Is that an idea that was poured out of your community, or how did that get done?
I would say that it came out of a priority of ASM per se, and certainly there's been members in legislative affairs that have taken the initiative. I believe Tristan Abbott is one of our members' name. I believe is a freshman. Came up to me after a committee meeting and said, "I want to get involved. I want to take responsibility," and he's taken it all under his wing with some help from folks. So it's been, it's been a focus of the organization, but then we've been able to step up. So it's been great.
Do you have a final question? All right, Representative Iseta.
How are you advocating for the landlord impact?
That's a good point. So ASM has gone out of sponsoring the event. So in years past, the Housing for Account had a different focus. Now it is being sponsored by VIP services, visitor information programs. They have an intern named Megan that is working on there in particular. So they're responsible for outreach and advertising. I would be happy to, if you have ideas of how best to get these ASM members more involved. If you don't know, I need to do a better job communicating it. But all right now, November 12th at Union South, Varsity Hall.
Do you follow up?
Yeah, no, and the press office is already
Okay.
like drafted. Yeah, they already have strategy and draft, and I apologize that I mentioned that. Thank you very much.
And I'm sure you all will get an email on this too.
Little silo.
Yes.
3 p.m. to 6 p.m. November 12th, Varsity Hall, Union South.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions for Chair Statter? All right. Seeing none, Chair McNally.
Great, so Charlie the Nounce Bear is rolling right along. I actually brought a bear mascot, but I'm sparing you. It's currently down in my car. He has a nice shirt, it's fantastic. But on to business. Nounce Board, as we kind of discussed, we're going to be bringing two things forward. The first is an alteration in the internal budget. I'm going to ask for just under $100 to do a full training for next year's Nounce Board. And while this year's Nounce Board is easier, so there's only 5 of us, Nounce Board can take up to 9. So for next year, I'd like to see that guaranteed training with Michael or whoever really institutionalized. And I'd also like to bring in not only the C-Flight representatives that Ellie mentioned, but also Sam Stering has alerted to me a fantastic training that's given out by another organization on campus that focuses on candidates of diversity and kind of target groups that you wouldn't necessarily get the numbers that you want on a search and screen. And so I'd like to kind of institutionalize that to ensure that there's a uniformity within Nounce Boards to come. Other than that, we are still looking for a graduate student representative, for a law school student representative. It's become like trying to find a needle in a haystack, so we'll keep you posted on that. I'm not overly optimistic, but we will continue to try to do our best to reach out to groups where they are prominent and to find one who has the time to come sit on the council and fulfill their academic duties. I'm trying to think of anything else. Chair Kidd has talked to me about doing a search and screen for finance committee members to replace one that's graduating. We'll probably see that go out either in the next few weeks or after finals. We're trying to still make a judgment call on when's the best time to do that, to still be able to hold interviews and get that person trained in time so Chair can keep dispensing money and chugging right along. Other than that, I'm always available by email and I have myself up questions.
Are there any questions for Chair McNally? Director Gardner.
Would you be alright with the press office using some of our communication, particularly like social media, to communicate with a law school student?
Yeah, we should probably sit down about that.
Yeah.
Great.
You follow up?
No.
All right. Any further questions for Chair McNally? Representative Maggio.
You mentioned there's some sort of training or institute that can help with diversity hiring. What body does that?
I'll yield to Chair Sering. I don't have the specifics off the top of my head.
I cannot remember the specific name. I believe though that it's a women's rights group on campus. It's a collection of academics on campus, and the training specifically talks about how to recruit individuals, diverse individuals through excellence. So that's.
And I can further comment. I'm sorry, I heard this slip my mind. I want to talk a little bit about the search and screen for the director of ASM. I'm co-chairing that Helm Camp. That's where the training actually was originally brought up. We're going to use that training for that search and screen. We've kind of made a compilation of who the search and screen is going to be. It's going to feature the chair of ASM, the chair of the SFC, the Chief Justice, the president, the student head of the Wisconsin Union, an adult representative from UHS, an adult representative from CFLY, myself, Kevin, and I think maybe the chair of the finance committee. I have to check the specifics. I will get back to you on that. But that is going to start to take place in the next few months or so. And I just wanted to pass along the importance of maintaining that $65,000 increase that we put in during coordinating council. I've spoken with Kevin on that, and it's really advantageous to try to do a full nationwide search and screen, and that $65,000 really makes us, really kind of brings us up not only market value, but also to a more competitive standard to try to find someone who can handle the unique demands of ASM. So with that, I'll again open myself up for questions.
Representative Maggio, do you have a final question?
Yeah, do you need any, I guess, can us as representatives, can we help out with soliciting for law students? Do you need all hands on deck?
Yes.
Any further questions for Chairman Talley? Dr. Gardner.
Do any representatives from or leadership, I guess, for grassroots committees, the search?
So not right now. What Kevin and I are looking at doing is bringing in, so like in any, similar to what we did with the FS with the financial specialist hirings, Andrew Carleon's there, so I'll quickly go over it. It's like a 6-hour interview process. They sit down, it's a whole day, you get lunch. You sit down with, we use techniques like sitting down with the ASM staff and kind of doing a roundtable like question and answer, and the staff fills out evaluations. There would most likely be a component where the person would either go to lunch or go to coffee like we did with the financial specialists with Kevin and myself, or with current staff member or a current student to kind of get a sense of more of a one-on-one personal. There will be obviously panel questioning from the entire search and screen committee. We've talked about components where all members of the greater ASM will be able to have their questions asked in kind of balancing a professionalism while still allowing selective career questions where those questions will be addressed by each interviewee, if you will, to kind of keep the process uniform. So that's what we're really looking to add at-large member or non-student council members of the ASM, grassroots chairs, members. The reasoning behind not adding the grassroots chair right off the bat, I think, was just a numbers thing, but it's not finalized yet. So if that's something you want to talk about, feel free to come out, and see what we can negotiate with Kevin to try to add another student to it. So.
Do you follow up?
I do not.
All right, are there further questions? Seeing none? Here's Aaron.
I'll keep this short and sweet. I'm working on three things mostly right now. The first is a discussion currently between the Dean of Students Office, CFLY, CSO, and ASM regarding the relationship between each of those bodies. That's why I had to step out of tonight's meeting. I was preparing materials for the meeting that I'm having Friday with them. I will update you all on that next week. Secondly, I've been working hard on the HR design plan, reaching out to different organizations. I met with a representative from the TAA today and gathered some of their concerns. I'm setting up a meeting with Kevin Walters, Representative Walters, and Chair Belovsky to discuss the crafting of the resolution that will be brought forward to council. Probably on November 28th will probably be that. And I'm also working on trying to get some sort of a presentation period for the governance groups on Madison's campus at the December Board of Regents meeting regarding the HR design plan, based off of feedback that I heard last week from this body. And then finally, I have begun to try to find a successor for my position. As most of you know, I'm graduating in December, and so I'm trying to find someone to transition into my position. Though the decision ultimately does come down to this body about who my successor will be. A number of individuals have expressed interest, but due to none of them officially declaring currently, I do not wish to mention directly who those people are. But if you do have any individuals who would be interested in running for the shared governance chair position, please let me know so that I can reach out to them and discuss with them the responsibilities of the office. So yeah, those are the three main things that I'm working on. And with that, I'll open myself up to questions.
Other questions for Chair Sear? Representative Wheeler.
The site-based work group that you're adding, trying to put people on, are those seats still open?
Yes, both of those seats have not been appointed yet. And I sent that email out to council, so please let me know if there are any individuals. I would hope to appoint the two open seats either by Friday or early next week. So if you personally are interested, or if anyone that you know is interested, please have them email me as soon as possible.
Follow-up?
Okay, so they don't have to be members of student council?
They do not. I simply reached out to this body, seeing as this body has connections across campus and may have students that are interested in sitting on it.
Final question?
Do you have any idea what kind of time commitment it would be on like a weekly basis?
Generally, what I've heard is that would be a 2 to 3 hour time commitment each week, depending, again, but it would depend on the week that was going on. So there may be a higher time commitment on some weeks, a lower one on other weeks, but 2 to 3 hours is generally what I've heard is the time commitment.
Director Gardner?
The job posting for the Chancellor's Search and Screen, speak. As the chair of Shared Governance Committee, what are your thoughts on that?
Frankly, the job posting was a little disappointing to me. There was one mention of shared governance, which was good, except it was put into this section of knowledge that the chancellor should have, and not an actual qualification the chancellor should have. Also, the tone of the posting was somewhat patriarchal to students, in that it sounded almost like students were just these children on campus that the chancellor has to worry about at times. So there are a number of concerns. I thought overall it did paint a good picture of the university, though in terms of student participation in the university, it wasn't exactly up to what I was hoping for. And I am discussing with Cody and Jason the process that they went through to do it, and how we can move forward with it to possibly change the perception of what potential applicants would have.
Follow-up?
What are some ways that you see we can address that?
I know that there's currently being a packet drafted to be sent to all applicants between the university committee, the academic staff executive committee, and the shared governance committee about how shared governance works on campus. So we can do a push through that. We could also add a separate letter in that packet about students. About student participation on campus, about student organization, the history of student rights on campus. And then also we could make a specific push for specific questions to be asked during the interview phase for the chancellor. So that could also be a potential area that it could be addressed.
Do you have a final question? Are there further questions for Chair Sear? Seeing none. Yes, on point? I believe so, yes. It's only half of our body. Okay. I know I was actually coming. Okay, so Staff GB, Chair Perry is not here, but you can email her, call her. Same with Chair Beal. Rules Committee, Chair Crandall.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. The committee is going to start reviewing all of the bylaws, the entire bylaws. We're starting with section 1 this week. I also built a legislation checker, and I noticed some pieces of legislation that have come up that have many grammatical errors and need to be fixed. So please use that. It's online. I sent out a link. It's on my website as well. Please use that. Otherwise, I'm going to be proposing lots and lots of little amendments to correct your superfluous word choices. As well as there is now online a dynamic living constitution, which is updated with all of the bylaws that have passed this session. So it's the most up-to-date official version, which is on my website. It also has references under the bylaws that have been updated to the pertinent legislation. And that will also be being updated in the near future to be dynamic, so you'll be able to close and open sections and have fun with it that way as well. So that's all I have.
All right, great. Representative Santa.
I did not on the ASM website, but on your website.
Why is the updated constitution not on the ASM website but on your website?
Yeah, so it's linked from the ASM website to my website. And the reason is because I'm a programmer and I like having the ability to easily change things using my own programs. And it's also free, instead of having to pay another person to do it.
You follow up?
Yes. Since I'm no longer a member of those committees, can I please be off those lists or being
Take off the email.
Take out these. You have a final question. All right, Chief Justice Buckley.
Does this living constitution evolve to the standards of decency of the day? Or how could you explain? Is the Constitution alive, or does it instead withdraw?
Is it a living, breathing document?
No comment.
Do you have a follow-up? Are there any more questions for Chair Crandall? Seeing none. Director Gardner. Okay, never mind. Chair.
Yes, would you or do you at any time plan on creating standing rules that could include things just some sort of
standing rules for this council?
Yes, we will be, we won't be taking that up this week, but in the future we'll be taking up standing rules for the application for putting legislation through this body as well as sending amendments through this body.
You follow?
No, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, Director Gardner.
Yes. So I want to address just a couple points. We are, in terms of the budget that we're now looking at, one thing that I'm kind of working on is looking at how we can increase the press office's responsibility in communicating some things that are in our budget. So a lot of the things that came up in the discussion were like things that students aren't aware of or grassroots communities aren't aware of. I think that's something that the press office could take a really big role in advertising and talking to various students who have the availability of using those funds. So that's something that I've been kind of looking at just in relation to the budget that we're looking at now. Just in terms of this past week, we did really well. We had the most articles in 1 week that we've seen all year. We had 25 articles covering the ASM. 80% of those were positively reflecting our organization. 8% of those were negatively reflecting our organization. We worked on regular press releases, advisories. We sent out a survey. We have a few staggered to go out in a few weeks. Letters to the editors are something that we've been doing quite a bit, thanks to our wonderful assistants. And we are looking at issues like housing, mental health responsible action, the budget itself, student region campaign, chancellor search and screen. Those are all things that we have a strategy for. We're advertising and working with various chairs of those committees. We're confirming with groups to do 3 to 5 outreach meetings a week. We are not yet hitting that, but we're getting pretty close. We're hearing back from the groups. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that if there are projects that you all are working on that you'd like to see more coverage of, we are kind of establishing a system where I take those in, and then we can delegate them to an assistant who can kind of take over strategizing how we're going to advertise that, how we're going to communicate to the student body. And I can do that for things that I see, that I personally see going to these meetings, but things that I don't know about, I can't advertise. So I would love it if there's things that you all are working on, even outside of ASM, it would be a great partnership for us, to let me know, and I'd love to sit down with you and build a strategy on advertising those. So just let me know about that. Pink logo is going down tomorrow, unfortunately, but that's pretty good run.
All right, other questions for Director Gardner?
What's the new logo going to be?
Sorry, what?
What's the new logo going to be?
Oh, we'll just go back to the original one.
Could it be like, could it have like a beard for my
That's a good idea.
Final question.
Do a beard that's not shaved.
Absolutely not.
You have a final question.
No, I don't. Thank you, Darren.
Representative Maggio.
So short of searching on the 2 campus press websites, ASM do y'all on press office have kind of tabulated all the articles that have ASM covered in them?
Yeah. So we have a media tracker that actually, not just articles, but anything, anywhere that mentions ASM. So if Wisconsin does a press release that covers ASM, papers, we also look at like shout outs. We look at anywhere where we're reached, and it's primarily through guidance. But yeah, we do have a database that records all of those, whether they're on message and whether they reflect positively or negatively. It's open record, so if you'd like to see it, I'm happy to show you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
This is.
All right, there was a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Divisions? All those in favor of adjourning, please raise your placard.
You're all incredibly rude.
Like, it's your meeting, honestly.
Oh, you're right, now that I say hi.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, all those in favor of adjourning, please raise your placard. Aye. 3. All those opposed?
I'll go to sleep. Let's go.
Alright, that failed. We are currently on Representative Wagner's final question.
No, pass.
Alright, are there further questions for Director Gardner? Representative Uceta.
Can your group, as like the board, whatever, work on like a new logo that's not like this?
Yes, we
like,
still have
long things.
She was saying this.
Oh,
Yeah, we would love to.
how can y'all, you know, have that be on?
Yes. Well, how about I'll set up a meeting to move stuff.
Yeah.
Alright, are there further questions for Director Gardner? Seeing none. Reports. Chair Bolowski.
Sure. So, thank you for everyone for all the questions during internal budget. Just another reminder, please email me. Send a reminder email. I'm looking for all the feedback humanly possible on this. If you want to go through, I'd appreciate some responses. If you guys have them or suggestions, anything at all, just let me know. Feel free. So this past week, I'll bear down, I guess. We discussed just union membership policy in general at the administration subcommittee for Union Council. I talked about the mental health fair. I will be talking about that again this Friday at 8:30 a.m. With the Mental Health Coalition to discuss the mental health fair that ASM will be co-sponsoring, which once again is December 3rd. It's a Monday, so mark your calendars. I prepared the agenda for the fall retreat, which is this weekend. Once again, I'll send out a third email with the room and location and also the agenda, the finalized agenda. So please make every effort possible to attend. It will be very worthwhile. A lot of your peers and your colleagues will be presenting there, so they really appreciate attendance and everyone exercising diligence when they're there and listening and all that respectful stuff. So other than that, I spent a lot of time meeting with people, talking about the internal budget. I met with I think at least 6 or 7 of you in this room. I have, I believe, 9 more meetings set for the rest of this week, and I think 6 more for next Monday and Tuesday. I'm looking to double that already, so please meet as many of you as possible. Let me know if any suggestions at all or any questions you have about ASM in general. I was lucky enough to attend the Board of Visitors dinner with the Political Science Department with Chair Searing and Vice Chair Giannopoulos, where we met students who actually former students who either have their PhDs or JDs and just a bachelor's degree, to talk about their experiences and about what ASM is working on. And I was able to stand up and present about college affordability and what really matters to students in front of this Board of Visitors. And that was a great experience talking about them and having them understand what ASM is and show that students truly care about college affordability and this campus in general. So I know it's late, everyone wants to leave. Other than that, looking forward to more meetings about the internal budget, and I will see you, well, also, obviously I'll see you again next week. So ask me anything at all, please.
Are there questions for Chair Bolowski? Representative Maggio.
What are some things that you'd really like to get out of the retreat this weekend for student council members?
Yeah, so I'm really excited for everyone to just kind of be in a room together that's not the hearing room. I guess the most simple thing. So it's going to be in Violet's, which is not the world's prettiest building, but apparently every building on campus, including both unions and the SAC, is completely full this Saturday. So we're going to be in Violet's, whatever, I guess. I tried. So I'm excited for everyone to be in a room together away from the potential contention that comes from legislation and budgets and resolutions and questions, and everyone can just relax, call each other by their first name, have some snacks, and learn more about each other and work hopefully more cohesively as a unit.
Follow?
Are there gonna be, trainings, brainstorm sessions, the like?
Yep. So the first, like I said, the first hour will be for the new representatives, and that's going to be basically just an ASM 101. If people want to be there, by all means you can come, but it's just going to be a very brief overview of what is a bylaw. So it's not going to be super exciting, but it's very important for all the representatives to get that information. As for the majority of the big chunk of time, there is Vice Chair Giannopoulos said before, there's a diversity training put on by Vice Chair of the Diversity Committee and Chair Akers. So Britt Mose and Mia will be putting on this training for everyone. There will be a training / session, whatever you want to call it, put on about interpersonal relationships and accountability and how to hold each other accountable. Another one is going to be professional development, where we're going to work together, just generic leadership discussions, ways to work with each other the best, how we want to continue on, and just overall discussions about where we want ASM to go for the rest of the year and into the future.
Did you find a question? Great. Are there further questions for Chair Borowski? Seeing none.
Good to see you all there. 40-20 Violets.
All right, great. I'd like to thank Dr. Gardner for being so diligent in reading my chair report. I hope you all take time to read all of the chair reports. For the past 2 weeks, I've had a nice prize in there for people who read them, so stay tuned. I'd also like to thank people who dressed up. On to the nitty-gritty stuff. I received the housing budget from Paul Evans. I've been going through it, and I found a thing called the Director's Seed Fund. And what Paul told me it's kind of like a slush fund / thing that people can apply to do programming in housing. I find that to be a huge problem. But I'm kind of working through their budget right now and trying to see if it actually matches up with things that are actually presented by the university. Just an update in case you were wondering how much buildings cost that were just built. It cost $42 million to build DeJote and $37 million to build Gordon. This was paid for by bonds, most of it. I'm still trying to do the calculations of how much was actually paid by bonds and how much was paid by donors and who those donors were. So that's what's going on in housing land. We also had the Residence Hall Advisory Board, and we talked about messaging in housing and the message TVs, things that pretty much pertain to people who just live in housing, nothing too major. Next, I met with Katie Bateman last week Friday, and we started planning UC for February. We are hosting the UC convention in February on our campus. It is tentatively going to be in the Memorial Union. I'm going to see if we can get some stuff at Gordon, which would be kind of cool because Gordon's nice and new, and we spent $37 million on it. So I'm working on getting all the logistics for that. If you guys have any ideas for things you want to incorporate into that, we are hosting everyone for Lobby Corps, which is a lot of fun. Also, like Vice President Huang said, Student Council is November 28th through the 30th, the weekend after Thanksgiving. So I'll be sending out email about that, soliciting for you guys to come. Also, I'm working on a professional development opportunity for the fall retreat this Saturday. It's something that I did at LeaderShape. It's called the DISC. It delineates you into what type of leader you are and what style you have, and it kind of tells you how to work with others. So I really, really encourage you to all participate in that. It's one of the first things, so please don't be late. This is something that you'll kind of be like, oh, wow, I actually really do think like that, or I do work that way, because that's something that I said, and I hope that you all will have that same realization as well. I also utilized some of our segregated fees. I went up to UHS and kind of figured out what they do for mental health services. Still trying to figure out if it's good or not, or how I feel about it, but I did that last week. I'm also working with Assistant Press Office Director Courtney. We're working on external things, reaching out to student groups and how to best do that, who to reach out to. And I guess with that, questions? Chair McNabb.
Status of
Well, yes, I
One
got
of those things called, partition game, if you will.
it's in my chair report, and the status is not changed. It's in my chair report. You follow?
No, thank you.
Wasn't the excuse me, I'm sorry. Wasn't the status that they were coming like a month ago?
They
So if
said-
the status hasn't changed, I'm rather confused.
Yes, it's.
Can you explain?
Sure, I'll explain. So, I believe it was last Tuesday, I called them, and they told me they were coming in mid-November and wouldn't give me a delimited time when they're coming. Today is October 31st, so October is over. They also told me that I had to email, I don't know what his actual name is, I think it's some generic name, it's like Bob or something. It's in my email, I can forward it to you if you want to see it, but, yeah. All right.
No, I don't have a problem.
All right, great. Representative Sato.
Wait, so and then you're gonna tell me what kind of leader I am?
Okay. No, it's a professional development tool to kind of gauge how you function, working with others and how other people identify so you can kind of match up and see how to work together. It's called the DISC. If you want to see it, I'll show it to you. All right. You follow?
Yeah.
All right. Representative Maggie.
You broke down $42 million for the show, $57 million for Gordon. Are there any student dollars used in the construction of those buildings?
Okay, so how housing pays for things is through bonds, and that will all be basically paid back through student money through housing. I'm still trying to figure out what that budget is and how it came to be. So I don't really have a definitive answer for you. You follow?
Yeah. Why does the February United Council Convention here in Madison take on added significance as lobby fund?
Well, last year we had a lobby day, and I think it would have been more successful if more students would have just been in Madison. And the lobby day is going to be on the Monday after the convention, so it'll be easier for students to stay here for that lobby day and lobby our legislators. And also, since we're hosting, I think, if anyone has any ideas, shoot them my way. Be sure to ask folks in the seat to incorporate those. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, you said you went and checked out UHS to see what is provided as far as mental health services. What were your impressions?
Yeah, so I went up there and they gave me this sheet of paper to fill out. I went and talked to this lady. Kind of felt like she was reading a script to me, which I didn't like, but it's fine. It was just a preliminary thing. It was like 20 minutes. And then they had me fill out a survey afterward, kind of the same as the sheet of paper that they had me fill out, but it was like online. And then I have a follow-up appointment tomorrow. So overall, I guess I can gauge better tomorrow. Chairman Taylor.
Yes, going back to the partition issue. Given we are a student government, and then we have all these connections to like deans and chancellors, I guess, do you plan on, since you're one of the only 3 people who can distribute money to the interim budget, do you plan on using those connections or lobbying or knocking on doors or exploring what the penalties are for hiring private contractors or like, is this going to get done?
I'll work harder. Do you have a follow-up?
No, thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none. Chief Justice Kloppenberg.
Thank you. So, Student Judiciary released this decision there was a homecoming appeal on the Finance Committee decision, Finance Committee waiver that didn't exist. So they're going to be required to pay for their magnets out of pocket, unfortunately. CFACT has, they're hearing, if you'd like to come see the Student Judiciary in action, come on Monday. Again, Chair Brooker will be there at 8:30. There's an internal conference with CFACT. Most latest attempts at getting eligibility. So, other news. Also, there's the Chinese Student Scholar Association hearing will be the next couple of weeks, and that's it.
Okay. Are there questions for Chief Justice Kloppenberg? Representative Markey.
I'm not sure if these already disclosed, but what do you expect to be kind of the process and the outcome of the CFAC case?
I can't, of course, speculate as to the outcome. However, if you just bring over the issues they're raising, since in the past it was an issue of the intentional policy violation of stolen equipment. However, that time has since lapsed, and now the reason they were denied eligibility by and large is because they failed to meet the direct service threshold. So the hearing will basically, go into depth as to how the SFC arrived at their determination of their direct service numbers. Basically, that's the merits.
Good follow-up? Director Carter.
So, in volume is anything determined about the precedent of exception or waiver being used by finance committee in the past?
So, for some reason, they actually asked for a waiver that doesn't exist. Like, there is no waiver in the finance committee with procedure. The exception being, for some reason, there's a waiver for travel grants, which should, I mean, I think we can basically say prima facie, not the end, but I don't know. The chair kids policy is not meant to extend the waiver to anyone, so it's not an issue. But no, there's no waiver possibility for event or operation grant purchases.
Good follow-up?
No.
All right, are there further questions? Seeing none, Chair Brooker.
Yay. This report is actually really short, so I just really wanted to give it. We made 6 budget decisions so far for a total of $467,588.93 in segregated fees. Stop that. We have 8 more GSSF budgets to do, as well as SSC and the ASM internal budget. We'll be starting at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow and making decisions on sex out loud and FH Payne. I will also be defending SSC constituent and SJ. Yeah.
Questions?
Oh.
I have a question. Why are you starting at 7:30?
Oh, we're starting at 7:30 tomorrow because Joe and I have to go to the decision maker to set the championship stuff.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Sure, no.
I was curious to ask you the legal counsel and why you defended yourself in this.
So the legal counsel is a legal professional. I am not. He is unavailable all Monday nights when we have meetings. So I have not had the proper amount of time to meet with him and get him up to date. I did get him some training materials with regards to the bylaws and the criteria and all of that. However, he was not at the select hearing or decision and had not read the brief or the eligibility application or everything. So he's going to take the first hearing as a learning opportunity, and should we have another appeal the next day, he will hopefully be prepared to help you out a little more on that.
Good follow-up?
Yeah.
Are there further questions for Chair Brooker? See.
No, I moved to adjourn.
Oh, is there a second? All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, please stay silent. Yeah. Please stay silent. Closing roll.
All right, Akers, Babineau, Bach,
Here.
Wolowski,
Here.
Randall,
Present.
Gardner, Giannopoulos, Hamilton, Higgins, Cantaloupe,
Yeah.
Kidd,
Here.
Kumrell, here, Lorraine, Levenger,
Here.
I'm burning.
Love,
I'm burning.
McGeown,
Here.
Meyer,
Yeah, you took out the stuff before you take pictures, checker.
McNally,
Here.
Moss, Ulrich,
Yeah.
Rack, Rolland, Saez, Spears, not here anymore. Statter, not here. Yuseta, still here.
Oh, yeah, here.
Okay, Wheeler, here. Wickbander, here. Zode,
Here.
thank you for waiting, Jonas. Ewolf, not here. Gary, Searing, Broker, here. Got.
Thank you. Wow. Ellie.